Last week we had a guy call in and ask if I was familiar with Isaiah 29. He wanted a commentary right then on the phone about all these passages in Isaiah 29, and I told him I wasn't prepared to give it, but I would cover it this week. So let me address it really quickly now. If you open up your Bibles and read chapter 29 of Isaiah, you wouldn't believe what the context is. The subject of the chapter and the 4 chapters that follow are Israel's invasion of Sennacherib. And it talks about the great distress this invasion put upon them. And it talks about their sudden and unexpected deliverance from God. And it talks about their prosperous state under King Hezekiah. And it's interspersed, that chapter and the 4 that follow it, with reproofs and threats by God for their hypocrisy as a people, for their stupidity as a people, for their infidelity as a people, and for their lack of trust in God, and for their reliance on help from Egypt. That's the context of what chapter 29 is about. If you open and you look at the very first verse, it says, "Woe to Ariel, the city where David dwelt. Add ye year to year, let them kill sacrifices." Who is Ariel? It's Jerusalem, and that is the subject at hand. All of the chapter is talking about Jerusalem. Verse 2 and 3 go on to speak of her failings and sorrows and how God is coming to bring her down. And then in verse 4, a passage comes up that the LDS take, and this is it. It's up on your screen. And verse 4 says, "And who, Ariel," which is Jerusalem, "and thou, Ariel, shall be brought down, and shalt speak out of the ground, and and thy speech shall be low out of the dust, and thy voice shall be as one that has a familiar spirit out of the ground, and thy speech shall whisper out of the dust." Okay, the LDS say that passage is talking about the Book of Mormon. They say that passage is talking about the Book of Mormon coming up out of the ground, buried golden plates, as a voice coming out of the dust. And that caller was trying to say, what do you say about that verse? And several others in that passage, Shawn. What do the LDS mean? Like I said, they think it's of the Book of Mormon. And this is just the biggest piece of garbage analysis there was. When it says in there that God is going to bring her low, it says, "And thou, Ariel, shalt be brought down, and thou shalt speak out of the ground." He's talking about Israel being brought down so low because of their wicked, ugly ways that they are going to be brought down to the dust, and that their speech shall be low out of the dust, and their voice shall be one as it has a familiar spirit, it says. And you know what that means? There were women especially gifted at the ventriloquism, really, and they did this really high shrieking sound, and they could actually cast their voice and make it sound like ghouls coming up from the earth. And God says, "I'm going to bring you so low, Ariel. You're going to be so low in the dust that you're going to be crying for me out of the dust, out of the ground. You're going to be a voice like one that has a familiar spirit." That's an evil reference. That's a reference that God is saying, you're going to be so low out of it, you're going to sound like those voices you guys are doing with all your witchcraft and bring these voices out of the ground, that familiar spirit. And the LDS take that single passage and they try to make it reference. They teach their people that is talking about the Book of Mormon coming out of the ground and that it has a familiar spirit to the Bible. I mean, that's the kind of academics that you're dealing with when it comes to their doctrine. So I wanted to cover that. I'm not going to cover the rest of the chapter. That right there should show you they're not on track.